And if they had been true to Allah, it would have been better. It would have been better for them. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was truthful with Allah, truthful with himself, truthful with his family, truthful with his friends, truthful with people in general, and even truthful with his enemies. Had the truth been an actual man, that man would have been Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He was known as the truthful, the trustworthy, prior to the advent of Islam. Yes? As-Sadiq and Al-Amin. Yes, we know this. These names were given to him by the kuffar before Islam even came. Yes? Imagine then how he became once he began to receive revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, once he became the Prophet, once he became blessed with guidance and uprightness. Next topic. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the patient one. Yes, patient. Sabr. In the English language, patience is sometimes defined as the capacity for calm endurance of pain, trouble, and inconvenience. As an Islamic virtue, patience has an additional spiritual quality to it. To endure hardships for the sake of Allah, consciously making the intention that by being patient and by not complaining, one will hopefully receive rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the akhirah. After all, many hardy people in this world calmly endure pain and hardship, but relatively few people do so for the sake of Allah. Hassan? So a lot of people do sabr, isn't it? A lot of people, so many people do sabr. Yes. But very few people do sabr for the sake of Allah. Yes. If we don't have a job, example, I'll give you a silly example. Hassan? We don't have a job, and we can't feed our family all of these nice delicious foods, well, the basics, then we have sabr, isn't it? We have to have sabr. Everyone in the family has sabr. We say to the wife, we say to the children, oh Baba, I'm jobless at the moment, don't have a job, so I can't buy you all of these nice things. We just have, the basic. Yes? Please have sabr. Will the family have sabr or not? They will, isn't it? They'll understand. They'll say, yeah, dad doesn't have a job, so he can't get us all of these nice things, nice toys, nice food. Okay, we take it easy. We just have the basic. When dad gets a job again, then we'll go back to normal. So this is sabr, yes? But this sabr, is it for Allah? No. It's not for Allah. It's because you don't have no other choice. Can you see? So many people, all of these kuffar that are hungry and thirsty in the world, yes? A lot of the kuffar, yes? Poverty isn't only for the Muslims. Poverty is for everyone, isn't it? You go in all of these countries like Mexico and Cuba and all these many poor people. Brazil, I've seen many millions of poor people. Yes? But they're not Muslim. They're not Muslim. They're Christian or they're something else. I don't know. Yeah? But they're having sabr as well, isn't it? But is this sabr for Allah? No, it's not. Can you see? So sabr is a universal thing. Universal thing. But we as Muslims, if we have sabr and that sabr is related to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then inshallah we will get ajr, we will get thawab, we will get reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that sabr, inshallah. So, as for the Prophet of Allah, he was a paragon of patience, subhanallah. He was a paragon of patience. For him, being chosen as the seal of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Khatamun Nabiyyin, meant not an easy life, but a life of difficulties and hardships, a life of trials and tribulations, a life of pain and suffering. In fact, no one in the history of mankind faced as many hardships as Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Death would have been easier than the personal tragedies Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam experienced throughout his life. And yet he never complained. Yes? But remained steadfast, patient, and thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In being patient, he was obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says inside the Quran, yes, وَاصْبِرْ وَمَا صَبْرُكَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ, that, oh Muhammad, have sabr. Yes, the sabr you have is from Allah. This is Surah Nahl, yes, 16th chapter, Hassan, verse 127. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam patiently endured being an orphan. So let's go through all of the different types of patience Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had. Number one, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam was an orphan. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam was poor. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam was hungry. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam was patient when he was forced to leave his homeland, when he was forced to leave his house, when he was forced to leave his family. He was patient when he was being persecuted. He was patient when some of his companions were being tortured. And he was patient when some of his family members were being killed. He was patient when some of his companions were being slaughtered. He was patient when his enemies waged war against him. He was patient when the Bedouins in the Saudi Arabian desert, they acted ignorantly with him. He was patient when the Jews plotted against him. He was patient when the hypocrites conspired to harm him. He was patient when the kuffar, they conspired to hurt him. Yes. He was patient when many of his own relatives left him and declared war against him. Subhanallah. Hassan, you understand? Look how patient he was, in how many different ways. He was patient in other ways as well. Yes. He patiently resisted the temptations of this world. He was patient against the allure of riches. He was patient against the appeal of being strong and powerful. He was patient against the dunya because he longed only to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In every aspect of his life and in every stage of his prophethood, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was patient. Patience, in fact, was his armor against everything that is harmful in this life. Every time he remembered what his enemies said and did, he recalled the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَاصْبِرْ عَلَى مَا يَقُولُونَ, Surah Taha, yes, verse 130. That, oh Prophet, oh Muhammad, have sabr on what they say and do. Every time a difficult situation became almost too difficult to bear, he remembered the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes. فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ. Yes, Hassan? فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ. It's in Surah Yusuf. Yes. For me, sabr is the most best. Surah Yusuf, verse number 18. And every time he faced almost certain destruction at the hands of his enemies, he remembered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's saying, فَاصْبِرْ كَمَا صَبْرَ أُولُو الْعَزْمِ مِنَ الرُّسُلِ. O Muhammad, yes, be patient, as were patient all of the messengers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in strength. Subhanallah. Fasbir, have sabr, come on. In the same way, sabr, the people had patience. Ulul azmi, the strong, min al-rusul, of the prophets. Surah Al-Ahqaf, Surah number 46, verse number 35. He was the patience of a man who is perfectly confident that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help him and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward him for his travails and his patience. He was the patience of a man who knew that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was with him and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was all the help he needed in life. As such, nothing, no harsh word, no curse, no rude behavior, and no physical torture could shake him, faze him, perturb him, or even annoy him. When his uncle Abu Talib died, he was patient. When his wife Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha died, he was patient. When Hamza radiallahu ta'ala, his beloved uncle, died, he was patient. Even though Hamza radiallahu ta'ala was killed in an especially gruesome manner. Hassan, you know, isn't it, about Hamza, how he was killed? He was tortured, he was mutilated, his ears, his nose cut off, his chest was sliced open, his liver was taken out, he was chewing his liver. Who does this? You kill someone, and then after you kill them, you chop them up and eat them? Does anyone do this? When you tell people, it's unbelievable. Who the hell kills someone and then chops them up and eats them? No one does this. No sane human being would do this. Yes? But this is what these people used to do. This is how they were. So when Hamza radiallahu ta'ala and his beloved uncle died, he was patient. Even though Hamza radiallahu was killed in an especially gruesome manner. When he was forced to leave Makkah, he was patient. When his son died, his son's name was Abdul, when his son died, he was patient. When his pure and chaste wife, Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, was accused of doing a vile deed, he remained patient. We know about Aisha, the story, isn't it? Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, by these kuffar, by these munafiqeen, by these Yahud, yes, they started spreading a slander against Aisha that she was fornicating. She fornicated. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said the innocence of her to Rasulullah inside the Quran. So when his pure and chaste wife was accused of doing a vile deed, he remained patient, seeking help from none other than Allah. When his people labelled him a poet, a sorcerer, a madman, a liar, he remained patient. When they cursed him, persecuted him, waged war against him, physically assaulted him, tried to assassinate him, he remained patient. In short, he was and continues to remain the Imam, the leader of those who practice patience, and the ideal role model of those who are thankful always to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One more, then we stop. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Hassan, the generous one, Sakhi. Sakhi means generous. He was the most generous of people. Of all of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's created being, none has ever been as generous as Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. There are reasons why he was so generous. He was sent to adorn himself and others with the noblest of manners. When he gave others, he expected nothing in return from them, desiring instead to be rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. And perhaps more importantly, he trusted in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so much that he did not fear poverty. Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam possessed the above mentioned qualities, he became the very personification of generosity. An Arab poet once noted that Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam would have altogether forsaken the word no had it not been for tashahhud. Subhanallah, the testimony of faith. Subhanallah, subhanallah. Yes, the poet wrote this, Arab poet. He said, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he never ever said no, except when he said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. He said no, except when he made the tashahhud. Had it not been for the tashahhud, his no would have been a yes. So the only time he ever said no was in tashahhud. That's beautiful, isn't it? That's an ending. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. If it hadn't been for this la, then he would have never said la. I love that. I'm going to say that one. What the Pope meant, of course, is that whenever someone went to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and asked him for something, money, food, clothing, anything, he would never ever say no. But when he did use the word no in the testimony of faith, which means no God except Allah. Among Arabs, certain historical figures are still remembered for their generosity. Yes, the likes of Haram bin Ja'dan and probably most famously Hatim bin Tayyib. Yet none of these men even approached the generosity of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Without thinking twice about the matter, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam once gave a man an entire flock of sheep, yes, that was so numerous that they filled a valley that separated two mountains. Subhanallah. At around the same time, he gave each chieftain of various Arab tribes 100 camels. Subhanallah. 100 camels to each chieftain in the whole Makkah vicinity. And there's about 12 to 15 of them. I don't remember how many exactly. Okay. On one occasion, a man asked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for the very shirt that he was wearing on his back. Yes? In response to this man's strange request, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam removed his shirt and handed it over to the man. Subhanallah. Think about this. That man said, "Oh, you've got a beautiful shirt, I really like it." Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam took off that shirt and he gave it to that man. That's all that's here. But in the hadith it's written that that man used to always wear that shirt. Whenever it would get dirty, he would take it off, wash it and put it back on straight away immediately. And later on when that man died, he ordered his family that he be buried in that shirt. He went for jihad and he said, when I die, make sure you bury me in this shirt. Because this shirt is off the back of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I want to be buried with the barakah of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. From his back to my back. Subhanallah. Look at this. Can you see? Now if I say to Hassan here, "Oh Hassan, I like your nice designer this shirt," is Hassan going to take it up and give it to me? He's going to say, "Man, if I give you my shirt, what am I going to wear?" Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam took that shirt off straight away, didn't even think twice, took it off, and Umar radiallahu ta'ala said to him, when he saw Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam without a shirt, he said, "Yeah, Rasul, where are your clothes gone?" He said, no, this brother asked for it, so I gave it to him. So Umar radiallahu ta'ala rushed to the house, got another shirt, and then he gave it to Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Subhanallah. This is kindness on another level. You can't imagine this, is it? It's too much. So he gave his shirt to this man. Next. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam showed generosity, he expected nothing back in return. Many rich men, especially kings, they give charity, hoping not for monetary return, but they expect respect. They expect respect. Yes? Love, admiration, loyalty, or maybe just an obsequious kiss on the hand. Yes? You know when kings give charity, then they hold out their hand like this. In the olden days they used to do this, Hassan. Yeah. If you watch these old these movies of kings, you see they give charity. A poor person comes, they give charity, the king, they give him some money. And then his people, they give the money, and then the king holds out his hand like this. And then the person has to kiss the hand. So it's not for free. If that poor person says, no, I don't want to kiss your hand, what's that king going to say? He's going to be happy? He's going to take back that money. Yeah? Can you see? So, no one in this world gives anything for free. Yeah? But Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he only wanted reward in the akhirah. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam expected none of these things. He acted so humbly that he made a person feel that by taking something from Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was the one who was doing Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam a favour and not vice versa. In the words of a poet, you see him when you go to him with a cheerful expression on his face, making it seem that you are the one giving him that which you ask for. If Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had nothing, when someone asked him for something, he would find something to give him. And when he had very little himself, he would give away what little he had, trusting that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward him and provide for him. When the spoils of war would be gathered, he would distribute them in less than an hour. His table spread was like a complimentary food stand. Any and all comers were welcome to it, except that they were welcome to take generous portions. His home was the Makkah of all travellers and strangers. Everyone benefited from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's generosity. The traveller he treated as a guest. The hungry he provided with food. His relatives he honoured with good treatment. To the needy he gave without fear of poverty. The rich and the poor alike he treated beautifully. Jews, Bedouins, enemies, hypocrites, all ate with him as his guests. Subhan, which is absolutely true. It is not mentioned in any narration that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ever became wary of being generous, ever said no to someone who asked him for help, or ever showed the least bit of displeasure towards someone who demanded his assistance. On one occasion, a Bedouin pulled back violently the collar of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's shirt, so violently that a mark was left on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's neck. The Bedouin then said to him, "Give me from what you have in terms of Allah's wealth, for the wealth that is neither your father's nor your mother's." Yes. Subhanallah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam turned to the Bedouin, he laughed good-naturedly and then gave him a generous share of wealth. Think about this. Crazy. When a treasure of gold or silver would come to him, he would distribute it immediately without saving even a coin for it for himself. When he gave someone money, he was happier to give than was the person to receive. A paragon of generosity himself, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam exhorted Muslims to follow his examples. He said, "Whoever believes in Allah and the last day, let him be generous to his guests." Yes. In another hadith, he said, "Every person will be under the shade of his own charity on Yawm al-Qiyamah until judgment has been done." According to another narration, he said, "Charity never causes one's level of wealth to decrease. It only increases." To give is to be blessed. Whatever you give away in charity, you will always get back in one form or another. This is the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So my brothers and my sisters, with that inshallah we will close for today. So what did we learn? We learned about Rasulullah Hasan, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's truthfulness. Then we learned about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's generosity, and then we learned also about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's patience. So remember, these are all qualities of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the hadith. Yeah, they're all in the hadith, and they're all from the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inside the Quran. So we covered 3 topics today. Inshallah, we continue tomorrow. Tomorrow is Jummah, yes? Tomorrow is Jummah? Tomorrow is Jummah.
Friday.
Oh, no, not tomorrow then. Saturday, inshallah. Saturday, inshallah, we continue. So remember, and tell everyone, teach everyone. Today we learned 3 qualities of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Beautiful. Number 1, his truthfulness. Number 2, his patience. And number 3, his generosity. Inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. in this beautiful month of Ramadan. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Qul qawli hadha astaghfirullahi wa lakum wa lisa'il muslimin fastaghfiruhu innahu huwal ghafurur rahim. Jazakumullahu khairan. Until Saturday, everyone. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.